We live at the office.
First of all, John, and Coach Benny, thank you very much for joining us here. We really appreciate this. Today, as I was flying in Cape Town, I was reading an interesting story by a veteran journalist, Rodney here. He wrote a very interesting story. You must go and check it out. It's on, I think here in Cape Town. Which newspaper is out earlier in Cape Town? I was reading on the Star, though, coming here. And he was talking about your vision for the club. And for the first time, I was really engaged to your thinking process in how you want people to identify. And the word that kept on coming out is inclusivity. Now, I know it's a throwaway line sometimes, but you said it 3 times, which means that at some stage you mean it. Let's take us through that, your thinking around that, and the fact that my cousin who stays in Buguleti for the first time supports the Cape Town team.
Yeah, I think that's been pretty much the way we departed this journey. I didn't come back into football one bright day in July 2016. It started around about 2014. So for 2 years, I was pretty much in thought about what is it that's going to change things? What is it that's going to bring something fresh to the game? Something that will ultimately stimulate the fan culture that doesn't exist or that hardly exists. How is it that we can change lives in the community? How is it that we can represent a city, a town, a region that people take to a brand and to make it that it's an easy fit, that there's no effort to want to be part of it. So I engaged with my son who was in the States. For a period of 2 years, we were debating on the brand, the look, the feel, the name, the kind of things we need to be doing, changing. He was in the States studying economics at an Ivy League. The most significant thing was that, he was close by to the New York City concept that Man City kind of launched, and he was constantly doing research on stadium sizes in Norway, in Denmark, how a city of 30,000 people fill a 15,000 seater stadium when they play a game on a weekend. And what is it that they do that creates that desire to be part of and link yourself to a club and a brand? So, we launched one bright day in July 2016, and it seemed like everything kind of snowballed in our favor. But even the small things like that bright blue jacket with the pinstripe white on it was all done to create the attention we needed. The detail, the devil is in the detail, and we knew that we had to become very techno-savvy to come in with a different, fresh approach to the market. And I leave that to the youngsters in the office. So it was important for me to surround myself with the millennial crowd who are enterprising, who engage, who socialize, to understand what it is that grabs them, what makes them stand up for this and not for that, what makes them retreat something and what not. And the team behind Michel sits there he is. The team behind Michel has been very clinically selected to be able to position this brand in a way that, like Absa has now created a minimalistic logo, where instead of making it very busy and trying to give it some flavor, it's there for you to grab it and say, that's how I see this brand, this is how I see Absa, this is what it means to me in my life. And this logo here, being as simplistic as it is, there's no Table Mountain in this. Because some people don't even get to see Table Mountain. They don't have the money even to get from the township to town to enjoy the Table Mountain. So it is what it is, and you make of it what you want. You bring your feeling about football into this logo. So it's the other way around. Instead of us saying, this is us and support us the way we are, we're saying, we want to be what you want to be in football as a fan. And that mindset is what sets us into motion with everything we do. So it's a journey for us, you know, and if you see our disruptive manner, you know, we come out the first launch at the Cape Town Stadium. I'd never seen such an attendance by the media in Cape Town over the 20 years that I was in Cape Town. The players were sitting in one side, they had those smart caps on. From day one, those caps were flying out the online store. You know, it was little things that just all seemed to fall into place, and the mix of the people that were interested. The old person that said, I remember this day. The young guy who goes at last something new. You know, it was just a mix of so many different elements. And our credo, our book that we created before we even launched, we had a brand book designed where it says we're there for the moms and pops, the imams, the rabbis, the tanis, the gachis, the machis, and that was kind of our momentum that we built on. And you know, you can say a lot, you can do a lot, you can drop the lines, but then you got to do it, and you got to deliver on it. And there wasn't nothing better than creating this Dream Club 100 program, which engaged 100 football clubs in the community on a direct relationship with us, ending up with tournaments at the end of the season. And then ultimately from these 100 clubs, we select the best under 16 players to enter into our academy. It was an immediate inclusiveness of football. There's 70,000 registered footballers in Cape Town. If they just, half of them could come to the stadium, we would fill it. That's the numbers are there, and they're playing football. So what is it we're doing wrong? So for me, and ultimately Michel, his grind at work is, how do I fix that experience? How do I create a fan culture? And there's no other way than controlling the environment that you practice your trade, stadium. That's it. If you don't control your home base, your stadium, and to make it into the shrine and to make it into a venue where people identify their seat number, their place, the passage they walk down, the coffee shop they have their coffee at half time. If you don't do that, which we take for granted because rugby and cricket have had that pretty much all the years, and then you wonder why there's such a celebration. It's an 8-hour event, a rugby game. Our event is an hour and a half. We all pack up our goods, we pack up our boards, our signage, our logos, and we leave. And we leave an empty shell. So it's got to end up there. So I'm fighting tooth and nail to have a Cape Town City Stadium in the near future. And we are winning slowly, but it has to end up there. So that when the fan wakes up in the morning, he knows exactly the experience he's going to have, and he can't wait to meet his mate at the Burger King on the corner that's just up the road, so that they can have something to eat. And they come in to the stadium. After the stadium, they go to the Cubana, they have a few drinks. That's got to be part of the
Just make sure the players. No, John, I'm asking you this deliberately because often we get caught up. Well, as football, we are guilty of not necessarily explaining ourselves and telling our story and taking people through the journey of why are we in this thing? What do we want to achieve? And the next question I want to ask you, just before I go to the coach and talk a little bit about tactics and football, you know, people often say Cape Town City has been lucky. I don't really believe in that because I think in life you kind of create your own luck, you create your own momentum, and then somehow luck gets involved and puts everything together. And the last 2 years, I have not read one article about Cape Town City coach under pressure. John Comitis summons the coach. I'm sure you do sometimes, but not necessarily publicly. The stroke of getting the general, someone that appeals as much as in Mr. Spain, as much as appeals in Yanga, in Buletu, but also in Kemsby, like a Benny McCarthy.
You're saying I appeal in
Look, I forgot one very key element in this whole equation. You got to win.
Yeah.
You got to win. So I said I've got to keep this club size in terms of the size of the club and the infrastructure in a containable size that I can constantly manage to get a winning combination with the best players that I can afford to bring to the club, and to be one step ahead of everyone and smarter and do things quickly. You don't need board meetings and that, make decisions standing up, and ultimately compete and win, because everybody wants to be part of a winning team. And we came out the blocks flying right at the beginning. A lot of people said we were lucky. Everyone said our second season is going to be the telling one, or we're going to be another Leicester City. If I can remember, Wits won that season,
Yes.
and then they were the Leicester City,
Yeah.
unfortunately for them. And the challenges in our second year, which was Coach Benny's first, were insurmountable. We lost our head coach. We took a coach that was his first professional job as a head coach, with no idea what to expect, other than the fact that I've known him from his age of 18, and I could vouch for his character and who he is. We had our 2-3 best players leave us. Our captain signed a pre-contract with another team halfway through the season. When you add all these challenges, although we finished 2 positions lower, I think the second season was more successful than the first. People didn't measure it like that because we finished 5th instead of 3rd, but you can start seeing this year what I'm talking about, because now that we've got the Benny flavor coming in, the selection of players, the way he likes to play football, and the intensity of his passion in a small group of players, because I've concised that team down to 24 players. We can't have 40 team squads. It doesn't work. There's going to be unhappy people, and you can't run a football club with unhappy people. So these are the little things that add up along the way, and it's an equation of a lot of small things. There's no brain surgery here. It's application, belief that you're doing the right thing, and perseverance. And if you have those formulas in place, then we set it up that coach can polish it off for us.
Now, coming to you, Coach Ben, I mean, on Monday you flew down to Johannesburg, and Tuesday and Wednesday, I was reading a lot of reports in the Joburg media, and one thing that really surprised me, and I say this to you, is how people have kind of shifted the way they look at Benny McCarthy. You threw a lot of opinion on a lot of things there. They were not talking about a former Bafana striker or anything else. They were saying the tactician said this. It's almost like you've warned people, and that takes some time doing, I guess. The Benny McCarthy of today, and of course you're playing Kaizer Chiefs, we'll park that for a second. You're playing Kaizer Chiefs on Saturday. The way now people see Benny, forget the great striker, but the coach and his coaching philosophy and this club and this community. What does that mean for Benny?
Oh, I think it's about finding where you fit in most, and I think I could have made a wrong decision, but I came to a club that was same ambitious, they want to achieve things, and and they were willing to take a risk on somebody that's never coached before, but chairman knew that I know the game inside out, but obviously I've never been in this situation where I'm now having to be in charge of 25, 26 players and to make us go out there and play football matches to win games. But he restored the faith in me, but also it helped that I was able to go and educate myself and learn a little bit more about the job that I want to go into, except for just playing on the models that I know the game from a football perspective. But I've gone and studied, and it actually it helped me deal with a lot of situations that you face when you're in charge of a team. But for me, it's more just the environment that I have. I'm able to do my job, and that is to coach my players. And I don't have a chairman or a club that's constantly that you find when you do speak to other colleagues in other clubs, where they are 24/7 under pressure that they have to deliver, and the club knows like Rome wasn't built in a day. So yeah, we to build, we're trying to grow, but of course, when you have instant success, and that's when you can be able to then fill stadiums, and you play a nice brand of football, which would want people to come and support your team, because the football that they see that's what they know of South African teams can play. So I have the luxury of not having to worry of having board meetings, or I didn't win this weekend, and then I'm told, hey, you've got 2 more games to save your ass. So I don't have that situation, so I'm being very fortunate in that department. It just allows me just to work 100% focus on the players, and then obviously what we need to go out there to have the ammunition to beat teams who play good football and to build the brand of Cape Town City.
Talking about results, I mean, this weekend you're playing a team that has not necessarily experienced the best of results. Start of the season, Kaizer Chiefs. There's no doubt it's going to be a packed stadium out there.